right there. Okay, so you guys can see the screen. Quality is good. Everything's good, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, perfect. So first trade of the day was AIMD, and this one was a really nice wedge here in the pre-market session. You see here I put in the Goblin Gang, watching wedge break on AMD, waiting for a break above trend line to add on retest. If we break below, I won't touch. So this one I actually got long, like right over here in the pre-market session. It was a 209 average, and I knew I was gonna have to risk off of this 190 area pivot, so I positioned myself properly, in order to do that. And ultimately, when we started coming up and we broke over the VWAP here, we kind of pulled back into the VWAP on the open. Not really the cleanest retest, but once we reclaimed this area over here, I added actually another piece, and we literally, like, as soon as I added, I put right over here, there was a bunch of news. Where is it? AIMD wedge broke, grab some 209, looking for a move into pre-market high. So our pre-market high was the 223 area. So that was my initial target on the trade. And really, it was kind of range bound. We were bouncing between this low 190 area and this high 210 area. And literally, right when I said that, like, it just popped. Like, I wasn't expecting this. I remember seeing 4 million in volume on the 3-minute candle, and I was like, okay, let's go. They're 3.3 million. And I was like, all right, nice. So we got a really quick move, and then I was like, all right, you know what? There it goes. Wait for a pullback. And then, so as we were making this move up, I was obviously drip selling. And once we got to pre-market highs, I was kind of out like majority of my piece. And then I seen we were consolidating here, so then that's when I went over to the daily. Then I was like, okay, what's the next level? If we get over 230, we could possibly come up over here and test this 250 area. And so that's why I wrote in the chat, looking for 220, 215 to hold. That would have been, I believe, this pivot right over here. 220 area is this, you guys can kind of see this support area.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay, so we need to hold 220, 215 area. I gave it some wiggle room. Then I said I was looking for that next leg into 250s, 260s, because that was, 250 resistance here. If we got a little extension, it would have taken us into the 260 area. Ultimately, we didn't get that, move higher that I was looking for. And I just feel like that was because we had such a parabolic, rise into, pre-market high. Obviously, everyone who was in down here or over here, they're going to be peeling their profits off immediately. And so, ultimately we get over that. We start trying to hover over this pre-market high area. We kind of create this flag. You can see, the volume is descending. And that's honestly where Mikey got on it too. He was looking at this 5-minute flag setup. And, perfect VPA. I agree with him. VPA was really, really nice on this setup. Ultimately, we didn't get that follow through. And when we actually, I think it was, I was like, AMD shows your titties.
Uh,
Um, and ultimately, when we started breaking up below the VWAP over here at 218, I should have cut it when we broke our 220 area. But I was like, I was noticing these, suck candles. We were coming down, sucking back up. Same thing over here. And, it was just in this little range. And, we didn't get that follow through. But I remember as soon as we broke the VWAP here at 218 and we started flushing, this is when I cut my last piece. I believe it was like 215.
was
And
that like
so
right at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock your time?
950 for me.
Yeah. See, man, it's crazy. It's like that. I feel like that 10 o'clock reversal time.
Possibly, yeah. I remember we were talking about that. We came down here into 10 o'clock. We tried putting in another leg, and that's when, we confirmed. I think I took another trade on it here. I'm going to check my orders here in a second just to make sure. Because I remember I had this line plotted on my Weeble. But, so, I mean, overall, it was a nice wedge break. I had the plan in pre market, so that's what I was looking for. I executed on it. We got a nice, yeah, I think it was 8 to 10% win on it. And then, ultimately, I took my last piece when we broke below this VWAP here. And I want to see if I ended up playing it again. Um, let's see over here. 930. AMD, drip selling into that. Yeah, so I did play it again, and it was on this downtrend break. You can see that I had this wedge drawn out. So I got
Yeah.
211 ads. Well, first I had 215 ads. Okay, and then we came down. So right when we broke this downtrend, we came up here. Looking at it now, I shouldn't have added, 215s. I should have waited, and I actually did notice that. And something I did was I averaged down. So I actually doubled down into position, bought more at 212, brought my average down to 213, and then or not 213. I'm sorry, brought my average down to 212s, and then on the pop into 215 over here and 218 area, I started scaling some off. And then ultimately on the last piece, I did take the L down here because I was willing to risk off of 205. But when we had this candle and we broke trend, I was thinking to myself, okay, let's see if we can, bring it down and then suck it right back up. And, that obviously didn't happen. So I did sell the last piece off at 201. So kind of way below, I, kind of caught the bottom of this candle. Whereas I should have followed, this lower trend line, and I should have, followed my risk. But I got majority off on a pop over here, and then we were kind of range bound. So my mindset on this was, okay, we had our accumulation here, came up. I guess, we had our distribution, whatever. We came down, and we kind of had that, accumulation phase over here inside of this wedge. I was looking at the volume, and I want to add the advanced study as well. So I remember like thinking to myself, okay, we're in this little range. We had our downtrend. We're probably going to get the accumulation in here. Probably try, for another leg. Because that's what I've been noticing lately. I remember on Saber, it was the same thing. We had that leg up, pre-market lows sort of. And, we kind of traded sideways before putting in that second leg. And overall, it didn't work out. But my mindset on this was accumulation here. Let's see if we can get back over VWAP. And we tried multiple times, just, failed. And I should have noticed how we were trying to fail at this VWAP. So I did take that last piece off for guess you could say loss, but overall still green on the name. And those were my two trades on I'm trying to look again, see if I played it. Yeah, those were my two trades on AIMD. So those, two trades were pretty decent. Overall, we, sold off, hit the lows over here, and we bounced back. Did anyone else catch AIMD?
I had a small trade for a loss.
Okay, let's talk about that. Where did you get in?
I'm trying to look up on trade or TOS. It wasn't a good trade though. I was so frustrated by the morning because I was again watching the ATXI from the open and sober, and both of them I did not enter, and it just after at like 9 o'clock my time I had to take like a 45-minute break because I was so frustrated by not taking those two trades with all that we've been talking about, and it ultimately just got in my head for the rest of the day, man. And I had one half decent trade on ATXI later in the day, but it was a tiny gain, and a loser on AMDI.
Did you so where did you get in on AIMD?
Oh, that's what I meant. Oh, I don't know why it's not showing me. It's not showing me my positions. It's weird.
Try going to your orders, or if you remember like where you got in and everything, we can go off of that.
I think it was where you were saying the bottom of that, right where it sold off, like kind of majorly.
Over
The
here.
bottom of that, like kind of wedge there.
Oh, so you were adding like off the 205 area.
Well, no, I think further over, like right on that. I think. What time would that have been? It's. Yeah, Yeah, I think that's in that area right before it sold off at like 9:30 my time, so 11:30 your time. I was expecting it to kind of recover. Looking at the kind of, it's still kind of in an uptrend. I mean, it's still, I guess, overall it was in an uptrend until that time. For me, anyway, looked like
Yeah. Yeah, I can see like kind of had this trend over here, something like this,
it.
and
Yeah, and looking at what it did, kind of pre-market, I was kind of anticipating it doing that again, but
yeah. I mean, overall in here, like I said, I thought we would have had that, up and down accumulation, and I was looking for that break, but overall, we did sell off. So I assume you kind of had like the same mindset on it, like you seen this consolidation and you're
yeah,
looking for that, we did have the continuation sell off move over here, but yeah, so kind of had that consolidation looking for the next leg, but
and I guess I should have known by that that kind of temporary trend. I mean, I'm looking at the one, but the temporary trend was kind of double bottomed there
yeah,
at I don't know my time, so right around 8 o'clock, uh, 10 after 8:07, so 10:07. There's a little double bottom there on the one,
yeah, I see that right over here.
and then it followed for the next, I don't know, almost hour in this kind of accumulation, and it was making higher lows.
Yep.
And so that's kind of why I was thinking, you know, this thing might go, but then right at 9 o'clock my time, it started making lower lows, and I guess I should have known at that time because it was making lower highs also. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I do notice that now as well.
it still seemed like it was one of those periods where it just, the accumulation just gets the lows just get higher and higher, even if you fight, a penny or two or five or whatever.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, overall it was kind of just, another failed wedge, and
And it was, I mean, man, so much shit was so choppy. Just, you know,
yeah. And then I remember
and it's hard to make that switch to just go into the 5 and 3 full time. So I'm working off the two now to try and work more towards, uh, the three and the five is like my soul.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the 1 minute for me is just it's like it's too much chop. It's like I know a lot of people use it, they know what to look for and etc. But like for me, like I mean something like this is not so much chop. It's kind of like a clear range. You want to buy down here obviously, and you know so I mean risk was clear on the 1 minute. We did have that consolidation, but like for me, like I'm sure when we get into later examples, we'll see why I try to refrain from using the 1 minute. Whereas, like even on this chart, if you go to like a 3 minute or something, like the 3 minute is just it's much cleaner to me, and I don't know, I just me as a trader, I personally just like it more. But yeah, those
yeah,
those were the moves on AIMD, and then I remember FXLV. We had this little setup over here, this flag. Um, I remember I was looking at it on the 5 minute here, and I'll actually screenshot it that way I can draw on it and whatnot. So we had
yeah. I want to
this.
get your thoughts on this also.
Yeah, so we had this, 5 minute flag set up. I seen it. I remember my scanner was going crazy because FXLV was consistently making the new highs here. So when I looked at this one, this was my mindset on it. Let me make some drawings over here. So I seen, we had our move up, our flagpole, and then we had our descending volume into our pivot. So we had our move up, we had our like little consolidation, we created our flag setup over here. And so overall, the flag was there. The VPA was decent. And then another thing that kind of made me a little more confident is, okay, we got over these highs right here. These pre-market highs were acting as resistance. We finally got over it on really high volume. And normally when you break over a pivot on really high volume, there's a higher probability that when you come in to retest it, you're gonna get that bounce. So we broke over that. We consolidated on these two candles. We had this nice flag set up over here, descending VPA. And then I want to see what I actually got filled at. So I got long on this one at $3.23. So that would have been right over here. So like,
Are you looking at TOS?
yeah, this is TOS, correct.
I don't why it's not pulling up
Oh,
anything.
my orders, I'm actually looking at them off of my Webull. Because majority of my trades on Friday, I traded them off of Webull, and then there were a few that I made on my TD account.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we had this, nice flag, nice descending VPA. So that's when I called it in chat. I said, FXLV, nice 5 minute flag off this pivot. I'm long. VPA was good. And then I said, looking for that 330 break and move into 340. We need to remain over 315s. And then I also wrote that there was a double top at 330. So just be ready to manage risk in case shorts try to tackle it here. So then we ended up getting this leg right here off this really high volume push right over here. We got this nice leg through 330. And that's when I said, okay, shave some FXLV. Let's fucking go. Excuse my language. And then I said, we're looking for the 330 area to confirm as support now. So now that I'll take it to a smaller time frame, we break it down. Let's go on a 1 minute because I know there was some consolidation up there. So we get our flag, we get over our 330, 329 area pivot, which was this body right over here in the pre-market. So that's why it was a key level to me. And then, ultimately we tried to flag over it. We had the descending VPA, but overall right here on the stuff candle, sellers were just slowly increasing. And, that's when I wrote over here, sold the remaining FXLV at break even. I was looking for that extension through we hit 339, I believe, and I was actually looking for the extension into this wick over here, so it would be the 350 areas, and then, ultimately the best, case scenario would have been 380s, but we obviously didn't get there. And so, I seen this flag, we executed on it nice. We tried to get this little 1 minute flag over here. It didn't work out. And I sold the remaining piece of my shares break even. And I remember I didn't. I'm gonna check real quick. Yeah, I don't think I played this name again. Or did I? Yeah, I did play this name again. I see it in my orders here. So FXLV, I got long at $3.15. It was, I believe, 132. So right in this area on this like 5 minute flag setup. You see, we had our big move up. We had the descending VPA. I remember I got long 315, and I remember coming into this one. I had this like, I obviously didn't have this set because we didn't make this move yet. But I remember, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was eating my lunch and I was just looking for a quick scalp. And I'm looking at my orders now. So I had it 315, sold some off 319, and then I took my remaining piece off at 317. So I got in right here 315. We had this quick pop into 319, sold it off, and then we had a quick move into 325. But ultimately, I took all of it off at 317 for a little scalp trade there. Did anyone else play this name? It's me, you, and T-Bone, but I don't believe T-Bone is talking.
Um, I was in that similar area there, but on the one there was another little flag, and I kind of got stuffed because I took an entry right at the bottom of that flag, thinking that it was going to continue higher and break above that 5 minute flag. So I took my entry right at flag.
Kind of like right here in this area.
That's the
Yeah.
one that I thought was going to kind of push it higher.
Yeah, I can see we had that, descending VPA and tried to make that move up, but ultimately it got stuffed.
Got stuffed hard twice.
Yeah, I see the selling pressure was enormous off of this one.
I just cut it there, well at the bottom of that, but it was a 2 cent loss. But and then it came back, which really was just salt and bloom because I could have sold break even or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I seen this one, I went in with the scalp. But yeah, I see that flag here. You know, ultimately sellers just
I mean, not that it
overpowered
was
it.
as nearly as nice as the five, but like I was like looking for another entry since I missed the first one, and I was thinking that the timing was right in my mind. It's going into power because it seems like power hour, at least in my experience, has almost turned to like 12:30, and power hour sometimes isn't even that powerish. Like it happened like earlier in my experience the past couple months anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I see that we're bouncing off of VWAP. A VWAP entry would have been better. Around the 310 area. I wish I had noticed that we were
Yeah.
kind of holding over this pivot, and now that I look left, I see VWAP was resistance and resistance here. We finally retest, broke over it, and that's when we put in the first leg. This would have been the ultimate move to be in right here. You see high volume on the break, low volume on the sellers on this retest, and then ultimately more buyers, and then we got that big push up into the earlier high day area over here.
I feel like they were selling hard on it. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Last day of the month, Friday, and all, but
Yeah,
it just like, man, they were selling hard on a number of things. It seemed like,
yeah. This was a nice little winner, but I mean, yeah, you had the setup. I can see why you took it. You're also trying to hold our EMA, trying to get higher, but like a rule of thumb for me, and that's why I went into this one with more of a scalp mindset, is because normally when I look for downtrend breaks, and I'm sure you already know this, normally I like to play them off the retest. So like, let's say we consolidated here, whatever, we held our support. Then let's say we broke it right here, and obviously I wouldn't be trading in the after hours, but like the ideal setup for me would have been like, okay, a break above this, quick retest, consolidate for a quick second, and then make that move higher. Start reclaiming levels and moving higher. So like something I think you could do when you try to play these like quick ranges when they obviously haven't broke the downtrend and are obviously making the lower highs is try to go in it with more of a scalp mindset, because until you see the confirmation of the downtrend break, there's really not really a great setup in it, in my opinion.
yeah,
So moving forward, I think you should try and scalp the range. Like notice these things. Okay, VWAP was resistance, and now VWAP is support. Like all these wicks down here, look at the buying pressure, and I'm like, they all provided great entries and very low risk entries, because I should have been long off the VWAP and I should have been risking off the VWAP. So let's say you grab something 313 and you're risking off VWAP, you're only risking 3 to 4 cents, and then you would have made
yeah.
7 almost 10 cents on the trade. So going forward, I think that's something you gotta notice. Like always look left. Notice these things. And I could have played it better myself as well. So when I'm giving you advice, I'm kind of giving myself the advice as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't know, it's just been kind of a crazy market, which we all know, but it just, I was thinking that was going to be the move. And, I don't know. I mean, you're right with the VWAP. I mean, that clearly was support. I I should say, could have taken an earlier entry.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, like looking at it now, it's always easier to tell. And in the moment, I can see why you took it. We reclaimed EMA, kind of had that 3 minute flag right here. Low VPA. Buyers started stepping in. Then ultimately, when we made that move to test the upper trend line, this whole candle, like look at this, it's just all sellers. And you remember I was telling you these usually these setups here when they come up and reject so hard, it's usually a bearish signal. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you exited when you did, and you didn't hang on to it, and it didn't lead to a bigger loss. So you did manage risk very well on that, in my opinion.
I mean, looking at this thing overall, though, I mean, if you look at the hourly or the daily, it's making a pretty nice pennant, but I mean,
Yeah.
these are those long top and tails, man. That are
Yeah, so there's the way I would go about this would be like, okay, so we got to play the range. So we know there's a bunch of sellers up here. So kind of have it like this. So we know sellers are going to be present there. We know buyers are going to be present near this $3 and even 290 area. So another thing I do is go like this. Okay, $3, 290, right about there. So I'd look for the dips. I'd look for people to start accumulating in this area. And even going into Monday, I think this is something worth watching. Only because we didn't fade off. We kind of
That's right. And I was watching it after hours because I was. Did you just not trade after hours or?
sometimes I do, and like the only time I'll trade after hours is like, so if I didn't really make many trades during the day, or like let's say I had something to do during the day and I didn't
Yeah.
get to trade, then that's when I'll come into after, because after hours is kind of like
It's a gamble. Can be.
yeah, and the reason I say that is because like you can buy like 200 shares and the stock will spike. So like imagine
Yeah.
that guy buying 1,000 or that guy selling 1,000. Like after hours and pre-market action, like look at this, you know, crazy. These moves in pre-market and after hours are crazy, and that's why I try to stay away from them. But like if I see a solid setup, for example, um, why is this not? So if I see a solid setup like this, and we start breaking out in the pre-market, yeah, I'll take it because there's an edge here. There's clear risk. There's a clear pattern. Volume was there, so something like that in pre-market, I would definitely take. But usually, I try to stay away from those times.
Yeah, this I was keeping my eye on because it did not sell off. I also did not make many trades because I was really just in a not good headspace, S&P sober, specifically APXI, because I've just been spending so much time charting it, looking at it, and just dropping the ball and not following my plan that I had set out. But it just really affected my whole day. And I only made those two trades, one on ATXI and that loss on the one that we're on XLV.
FXLV, yeah.
But I was watching this after hours because I was thinking that it might, because dude, I on the tape there were some considerably large orders going through on the ads. There were two at 10,000, one at 17,000, and then after hours, there was one, I'm not lying, on the ass that was for over 50,000 shares, which made no sense because I don't know what the float is on this, but it didn't really affect the price at all.
Yeah, it could have been like a fake order or something, but I see what you mean.
It was
We
much late. I mean, it was at my time. It was like 4:20, 4:19. So it wasn't like right at market close, which I've definitely seen some crazy orders happen. It's like end of day, market close. But I don't know. I mean, I think this thing might have some legs for
yeah,
Monday, but
yeah, we're definitely like this 3 area and this 290 area. As long as these areas hold up, it definitely could still be in play. Like one thing that'll probably happen, we'll probably get that quick gap up, Monday morning, and it'll probably
yeah,
fade off, and then we'll have to see how it kind of like what was that one stock you were in where it gapped down, came, yeah, right over, not this day, but I remember there was one name you were in. I think it was right here. It had a little move up higher the day before, gap down into 5. You got out, and then it made this
A,
whole move. So
APRN.
yeah, so I think that's something that can definitely
Yeah,
happen on FXLV.
it's another one that if I just followed my plan and not gotten shooken out, I could have made some nice gains. But
It happens.
happens.
All you can do is learn from it. So those were like my plays on this one. I also see. So we had FXLV, SNTI. Um, I remember this one. I posted this one in our little study group here. I remember I got long 208. Right over here, we broke over at EMA. I got long right here. I believe I had some ads back here, and I said that I was risking off the lows. And SNTI. I remember, okay, so we broke this. I'm looking at my orders. I took some off here at 213 against the VWAP, and then we continued higher. I took more off here, 217 area, and then on this stuff candle into the VWAP. It didn't take any off. And then once we broke it, I took the remaining piece off at 210, so that would be like right over here. And then I kind of saved myself from, this move lower. It really wasn't a move lower, it was kind of just a wick down, but I did get out the last piece at 210, so I think this was nice. I remember it was,
It almost looks like a soaker.
yeah, it kind of had that accumulation. I remember why. I'm trying to, this is our chat, yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah, is
see.
that the 5 you're looking at?
Yeah, this is the 5, but I remember I believe I seen
Does
a
that kind of look?
flag on it.
That looks like a nice soaker. That candle. I think where you got out.
Yeah, right here is that AIMD trade. I was like long this zone on AMID looking to add dips as well, and that's when I actually averaged down. But SNTI, grabbed SNTI on this extended flag setup. I believe it was, I want to say this one. So basically a soaker is like, okay, so let me try to find a good example. So that's when they're actually like buying it up and you get one of those. So like let's say you have your move like this and you're trading down whatever, or well, you're not gonna really see it in a downtrend. So let's say you're trading up and then you get that flash crash and then you get that candle like this, then it's got that long wick. That's the soaker. Someone's like just, this is their buy button. They're
It kind
just,
of looks like the one that's there on the 5 right before that
yeah,
5.
you can see one
Yeah.
here, here,
Yeah,
over
but
here.
it's specifically more of just like, it seems like
This
it's
is a
gonna
really
sell
good
off
one.
real quick, but then pulls right back up when you're watching it.
This is a really good one. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
someone was soaking this one over here.
in my opinion, it's the way that the algos or whoever is, they're just getting a much better entry.
Yeah, and there's so much buying pressure that it's bringing it right back up. So yeah, we had that like flag. I believe it was over here, and then see what else did I trade?
Did you trade ATXI at all?
Yeah, I did. I actually was about to get into that one. I'm just like going up my order list right now.
Okay.
80TX. Okay, I must have played that later in the day. 1444. So that would have been right over here off of this pivot. So this was like another kind of scalp one. I don't really know why I was getting into it now that I'm looking at it. But I see here I got in 347s and I got out at 349. At 1444 was my average. So I guess I got in right here. We came down into our 335 area, and then when we came up and had this pop into 350s, I sold out at 349. So kind of a break-even trade, but I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, I was looking for that kind of downtrend break. Shouldn't have held it through these new lows, but overall we kind of had this area right over here, and I was looking for that downtrend break and then move up into like 360s. Ultimately it didn't happen, so I did get out of that one break even. And then ATXI, this was actually the best one for the day. I remember I was on the 5 minute, right over here, and I'll actually go back to it.
Dude, I could talk about ATXI for hours right now, man.
ATXI was really clean. SNTI 5 minute flag here, that was
It
11:22
had the
a.m.
nicest, cleanest setup on that first dip with the 9 breaking over VWAP, and I saw that, and I hesitated. I mean, I literally have been watching this, for a couple days. I mean, we've even been talking about it, but just not pulling the trigger. But when that, I don't know if this is the 8 or the 9.
This is the 9, I believe. Yeah, this is
On
the
the
9.
mine. Yeah, it was the 9. But when it broke over VWAP, watching from your video, I know that's one of your signals and the VPA and the flag.
Yeah.
And dude, there were so many fucking
Yeah, I
And,
see
and
right
right
in
when that
this
kind of
area.
broke over VWAP, dude, I was like, dude, this is it, man. You gotta get in. Like,
Yeah, this would have been ideal entry down here.
it was such a beautiful setup, man. VPA, the flag.
Also, that
9
EMA
minute.
9 view up crossover that I'm always talking about.
Yep,
See if it.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
specifically what when the 9 crossed over VWAP, it was like,
yeah, right
dude,
on the
when I
38
saw that,
too.
and it
Really
was
clean.
right like low seven, or I mean high. Yeah, it was like high sevens.
Yeah,
I
like
guess it was
no,
300,
must
but
have been nines.
oh no, yeah, it was super in. It was at seven, like right at market open.
Oh, right over here.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the one I know I shouldn't
Ah,
be, but
okay.
dude, it was a beautiful flag.
Ooh,
The
ooh.
9 went right. It was dipping and then came right through VWAP, and I was like, this is you can't get any better. I literally
Yeah,
put
look at
my
that.
whole account onto that trade, but I just froze.
Kind of
But
consolidated right here and finally confirmed the trade line as support at 794, and that's when buyers just
which
started
one's
walking it
VWAP
up.
on yours?
The
Purple
purple
line.
line,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's a clean flag though.
dude, and look at the volume pulling back, and
Yup.
because I missed, I was there's not much. There was nothing that you could. I mean, there was that little pop in pre-market. Maybe that was yesterday or on Thursday. I mean, but there was nothing in pre-market that constituted an
Yeah.
entry. But I just had so much conviction this thing was going to continue, and should have just taken my entry at 725 when I was going to, but didn't. And then when it made that flag again, that's why, dude, I had to take like almost an hour break because I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, what
Yeah,
are you doing?
this was really nice. Nice flag, low VPA, and then buyers just start ramping it up.
Ramping it,
Wish I
dude.
seen that.
Just screaming.
Oh, that's really even
And
over here
there's
when it
two.
put in another flag here too in the nines.
And there's even another flag like on that ramp up too.
Yup, right
Low.
over here.
Yeah.
How's the VPA on this one? Yeah, nice. I mean, sellers were kind of there, but buyers were there ultimately and continued higher.
And
Another 1 minute here.
my issue is once something, especially in this market, once something like pops, I get so just discouraged from it because I feel like things pop and drop so frequently.
In this market, yeah.
And if you don't get in prior to the pop, you just get caught on the back side. And that's why, like, when this initially ran up after that 1 minute flag and went to like 9 or 820 or whatever, I just started getting distracted, looking for another entry on another ticker, keeping this in my, on my 4 charts because I can only look at 4 at a time where I'm at level wise. But and I just kept trying to keep my focus on this, but
Yeah, I can see really nice. 1 flag, 2 flag, 3 flag, and then had that like accumulation over here and put in a flag here and made that grind
and
higher.
if you look at the daily too, I mean over the past week, made highs too. I think my chart won't pull up, but you see the highs; they're just getting incrementally higher.
Yeah. Volumes also stair stepping higher. Yeah, this one might present more opportunity on Monday. Remember, I played it all the way up here though, off of this pivot right over here. We got this moving to 11s here. We pulled in. Volume was kind of light. That's when I said I was trying this pivot, risk off 1046. I had 1069 average, I believe. And then we had this pop into 11s. That's when I was like, okay, start peeling the profits now. Then 11s here, let's see if we can get highs. That's when we just started riding the trade line higher, and we ultimately got a pop into 12s. I was out majority here, and then that's when I was like, okay, I'm holding the really small runner. The daily has room. We'll see if we can get a parabolic pop into 1280s for the final take profit, and that was actually daily level. It was right over here. This was like the 1280 area. Ultimately we didn't get it, and then I said if not, then we're gonna risk off of 1150, and that was this kind of bottom over here off the EMA. And right when we broke this and got this stuff candle, that's when I was like, cut the remaining nice highs of 1231. So this was like a really clean pivot. Risk was clear, gain was clear. Overall, it worked out nicely. That was like my only trade. Even though I was like saying, stay familiar, it might have another leg in it. That's when I was looking at it down here on the 10-minute. We're kind of making these higher lows, kind of 10-minute flag in here. I remember on this one, VPA was light. Sellers were leaving. Then we tried to get that move higher, and then we had that pipe top set up, and that's this is like a bearish reversal pattern. I'll actually show you that right now.
Pipe top. I've heard you mention that before. I was gonna look that up, but I haven't yet.
Why is this not loading?
Before we just want to look back at the VLX for a second too.
Yeah, so these are the pipe bottom, bullish reversal, and then the pipe top.
Like
yeah, except the bodies have to be the same, like the same size almost, and like this is a great example of one. Even though we had this lower wick, like the bodies were the same, and green to red, it's a bearish reversal pattern. But this one, I mean, even we're holding, this area here, so see what happens. And you said you wanted to see FXLV?
Yeah, just look at the hourly, daily. I think it might be the switch tickers. Sorry, I'm just looking at it online too. There was just that gap down right there. I mean, that's basically that could be a gap fill.
Yeah, so in order to fill it, we got to get to 350s.
We broke above that previous high, which was, at least, I think we broke above it. Yeah, that high there.
270 area, yeah. Let me make this cleaner real quick. 350 and then 271 area here, or 280 area. Yeah, we even held that daily pivot in the pre-market, it looks like. Yeah, right over here. Yeah, so ultimately to get that gap fill, we gotta get that move into 350, and then we'll have this, gap to worry about back to 230s. But that'll be later when, momentum dies out.
And I'm just personally hoping that it doesn't happen at 2 a.m. Or 4 a.m. your time.
No, normally gap fills in pre-market are, because, in pre-market the daily candle isn't going to be up here. As you can see, dailies don't usually have any pre-market or after-hour data.
Yeah.
So normally it's not really counted. Normally it's only counted like this. I'll show you. So like, see how we had the gap up into the open, and we had the move up to 338, and then you go to the daily, and the daily only shows the move into 338, doesn't go any higher. So normally the daily is only referenced off of like actual open hours.
Gotcha. Yeah, on TradingView they'll sometimes just have like a dotted wick, not like a solid wick.
Yeah, on Trade ID is same. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Or TradingView, sorry. But yeah, FXLV was clean. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I played.
But at the end of the day, after I took that one trade, so I just, there was some heavy selling. They were just really pushing it down.
Yeah.
But then after hours kind of changed my opinion. But it could just be,
Yeah, we'll probably get that, move higher.
I
And
see those big orders come through on the tape, and that was something that sparked my curiosity.
yeah, and then I remember I played ADTX over here, got long on this retest. I had, let me see what I had. I had 343 average, so right down in this range near the VWAP. We got the downtrend break, tried to pull back on lower volume, put in this nice hammer, so I thought, okay, this is our nice, retest, nice wick down, buyers are present. Then that's when I put over here ADTX through downtrend, watching for a retest and move higher. So we got that retest, but just, not enough buyers to, reclaim it and push it higher. And looking at it now, I see overall, the volume is really low. And then, did I get any off? Yeah, so I did take some off at 349 from 343. So I took some off on the break here. And then ultimately when we failed it, I took the rest off at $3.40 right over here. Because, you see we have this flat bottom support. And then another thing I did notice is when we started breaking below, sellers started walking in. And then bam. So I saved myself from this move lower.
Yeah.
So pretty much break even on that one. But it had the range, I was looking for, I don't know where I put it, but I remember I was saying I was looking for that move up into 360 right over here. Then looking, for that end of day push and that parabolic, because that's usually how things have been going. End of day gets really, really hot.
It's insane how much they just kill the volume of these things, man.
Yeah, like look, it went from all this to literally this.
Like hundreds, if not millions of shares, man.
It just never comes back. I remember FNGR as well, right before the close.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I did play this one. I'm pretty happy of how I played this one for one reason. So, I was looking at it here. It was like, okay, let me get long here. Then I'm like, no, wait. We have this clear lower trend support. So I was looking for 315s. I didn't get them. We came down here. I kind of hesitated. It didn't, look the best to me, even though VPA was so low coming in. Make that move higher, and then right here when we, established this trend, I got long right here at 325, I believe. Let me check my orders. I got long at 327. So right over here, came down into 320. I didn't add any more. My max pain was off, 315. That was the flat bottom support. And then we had that pop right into the close, and I remember on this pop I could see shaved some off 331, shaved more off 333, and then ultimately got the majority off at 335, and that was right into the close, and that's when I, was pretty much done for the day there. But like looking at it now, we had this nice wedge here. Ultimately couldn't just get the volume to break out.
I was watching this, but after it had that sell-off there, right in there, it just kind of turned me off a little, but and then it just kind of popped again.
Yeah, Mikey seemed pretty confident on it. That's why I'm like, all right, I gotta find an entry on it. And I had a pretty good entry right off the trend. See it on the 1 minute. Well, not the greatest. We kind of broke below, but there were so many buyers down here, and I remember watching them on the level too, and that's why I kind of held and stayed in it. And luckily for me, we got that quick pop into the close before just trading sideways. Oh, okay, all the way up here. Yeah, 350 is that key for this one though.
I think this is another one to keep an eye on too, man. This thing has just been climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But it did make a pretty considerable move on Friday.
Yeah, it did. It made a nice move into almost 380, and
if you look at the hourly though, I mean it's like straight up, man. So it does have me a little cautious with it coming back down. But
yeah, I think as long as we hold 280s on this one, it could still be in play. Because if we break 280s, then we'll possibly come down and test the 245 area here. But ultimately, we got to get over 350. 350 is that clear level here where that seller is constantly selling. Trying to think if there's anything else I played. Yeah, no, that must have been it for the day. Looking at my orders.
Sober had a hell of a day again, man. That was.
Sober, yeah. I see that here in my orders as
And
well.
they had some news too, which obviously you don't know about that, but I just, been keeping my eye on it, knowing that it's been, having a heck of a time. And
Yeah, sober. I got long at 274. Right over here on this retest, we had this 5-minute flag set up.
that's where I was gonna get long too, but I didn't, man.
Yeah, so I got long right here, 274 on this EMA retest, on the downtrend retest. Low volume VPA pullback. Buyer stepped in and right away you can see Sauber 274. Took some off 283. That would have been right over here. Took more off 287. That would have been right over here. Then I took the rest off on this pop at 293. So that would have been right over here, and we got that nice extension into 3. So nice follow through on that downtrend break. Then I believe right here, I want to see if I played it again. Yeah, it looks like I did not play it again over here. I should have though. Really nice. Look at this. Wow. We get that break out of the downtrend. Really low VPA.
It did get, at least for me, it was incredibly choppy in that area, man. It was very difficult to get, a flow on it, a read on it, for me personally.
Yeah, there was,
Like it was
very, after this
clear
move,
back.
it was very choppy, but here we have that U shape after that big sell off. Then put
It
in
was a
that,
clear battle between buyers and sellers. I mean, and it was making incrementally, more higher highs, but it's still just watching it closely, attentively. Shouldn't be watching the one, but it's
yeah,
a hard
gotta get off of it. Or at least, like I
stop.
said, have your other charts down here or something. But ultimately, like this one,
I do have them side by side, but it it's something that I gotta work on. There's a number of things.
yeah, ultimately, like I'm looking at it now and it was really clean. I don't know why I didn't, take some down here. And the reason I say that was because we had this clear area over here, clear area over here.
Yeah. Yep,
And
yep.
then when we did break over and we did pull in, we kind of held this clear area over here, this flat top, resistance. Kind of held it over here. Like we did come down a little lower, but I would have positioned myself, and if I was down here, I would have been risking off the VWAP, so it wouldn't even have went near my entry or my stop. And we kind of had this little trend forming where it broke here. So like looking at it now, I did catch this one on it, but I could have caught this one as well. VPA was really light on the pullback. Buyers stepped in, and like this stuff candle would have been alarming, but overall when we pulled in, volume started to curl. Sellers were leaving right here, all buyers. Then ultimately buyers came in and ramped it up for that next leg into 316, but this was clean pivot holds, and I should have noticed that.
It's a very, very good point.
Yeah, I should have noticed this right here off of this pivot. I don't know why I didn't. Like this was really, really clean. See this area?
Yeah.
Then we kind of came down and held the body of this candle here off of 277s. Should have noticed that right over here, and then we curled up, reclaimed the EMA 9, and made that next push into highs before finally getting stuffed and selling off. And then also, like I said, we had that trend here, right over here. So when we broke it here, it would have been clear. Tried to reclaim, but we couldn't have the buying pressure, wasn't enough. Sellers came in and slapped it back down. Should have noticed that. That would have been really, really clean.
Yeah.
So you didn't play this one, or?
No. I mean, I was watching it attentively, and just when I was seeing all that chop, even though it was making higher highs, it just seemed like a hard fight for the buyers. I was just nervous.
Yeah.
because it did push down I guess twice,
Oh, it pushed
and
down a lot, even over here. Like,
from the three level,
oh
it
yeah,
just could
threes.
not.
Yeah, threes were very
And
tough
that's
for
kind
it.
of like once I saw it, yeah, break three and then flush like that, it just I still watched it, and I was gonna take an entry at the bottom there. And obviously, I could have, I should have, but it was such a struggle to get back up.
Yeah, usually when it's making this move, it's like don't even touch it. But then like something I like to focus on is look left and where did we consolidate? Where were buyers present? Look at all these lower wicks. They were clearly present here. So if we come up here, I'm not interested. But then we make that move back down here, and that's why I say I should have noticed this, because like this was clean. We had this accumulation here, move higher, distribution here, accumulation here, move higher, distribution, and then
And the
more.
accumulation was even higher on that one. I should have, yeah, something
Yeah,
else. Another was like a little signal there too.
yeah. This was the buying area. Risk off the VWAP, and never came down here. Once after it made this next leg, didn't
And
even
look
get
at it getting
close.
higher and higher too.
Yeah,
In that zone.
exactly. It didn't even get close to the average or the stop, and reclaimed. Held this area here and made that last push. And so you even held another piece to see if we could test trend and continue higher. You would have got out at 290s from 270s, so it's almost like 30 cents.
Man, my day was just so messed up from the morning. It was hard to get out of that.
Yeah, so which one did you oh yeah, it was ATXI, right? So you just hesitated and that kind of messed everything up, huh?
It did because I was watching this. I was watching ATXI and Sober, and that those are the two that I was attentively watching because Sober did make that. This is the one I was referring to that made that quick pop in pre-market.
Yeah,
That
I see
really
that.
made me, and it's just been on a tear too. I mean, it had that long sell-off period until maybe Thursday or Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, but just watching the two of them, and it just, it's all the psychology in my own head.
Yeah. You know what I see
Knowing that
here?
it's okay that if I miss my initial entry, you know, you can try it, you know,
I kind of see
take a
a W
smaller
pattern.
size. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if like it's the only thing to do is if you don't trust yourself, you got to play with smaller size till you gain the confidence.
I was even gonna take an entry on Sober and swing it overnight from yesterday or on Thursday, but
Oh, that would have paid. 2 to 3, that would have been nice. But yeah, this one here, man, I wish you took it. It was
dude, that when I saw like the final thing, which is the DMA breaking over the wow, and when I saw that, it's like I almost froze, and then watching it go 10, 15, 20 cents, and then I was just like, I missed the move, but it was still such the beginning of the move.
that's usually when you're gonna get the best follow through, the beginning of the move. Like you had your first opening drive leg, consolidation, continuation, consolidation, continuation. Even right here at flag too, into the EMA on
It
the
was
one
just
minute, and
serene.
yeah, there's a lot of flags in this one. One flag, two flag, three flag, and then we ultimately sold off. But if you were down here and all the way up here, you wouldn't really be complaining. You could have held all day through this chop and
And not that it
still
was
got more.
that hard of a call, but I totally read that short also, and I wish I were able to have shorted it. But TOS, it's HDB hard to borrow, so
Yeah,
I'm not on that list yet. But I saw that. Not that it was hard or anything to see, but
yeah. Ultimately, man, you just have to just have to do it, you know, like if you're hesitating, you just take that smaller size, man. Like look, man, the easiest way to put it is, okay, like let's say you're used to trading like 100 shares, like just hypothetical, you know, all in example. I don't really know what you're used to trading, but let's say you're used to trading 100 shares, right? And you're still finding hesitation with that 100 shares. Like something and this is to go back to my that course I did. And in that course I was taught, okay, I'll get in a position, you guys will follow obviously, because you know there was call outs in the course and whatnot, and the guy would always say, I'll tell you I'm risking off of, I'll get in a stock at 33 and I'll tell you that I'm risking off of 27, right? So he would always say, when the stock goes from 33 to 30 and our risk is off 27, people will start telling me, hey, are you still in this? Hey, do you still like this? And the reason people will do that is because they have too much exposure on the table. They have too much risk on the table. So even though, let's say you're used to trading 100 shares, maybe you got to buckle down to maybe 50. Like, all an example once again, but maybe you got to go from 100 to 50 just to get that. Because obviously, the smaller size you take, there's going to be less emotion, way less emotion. So if you think you're okay, like risking, you know, that 100 shares, you know, a dollar, a cent, or whatever, maybe you're not really okay with risking that. Maybe you need to take it to 50 shares, and like again, this is all an example, but maybe you need to take it to 50 shares and, excuse me, and risk a little less to see how that will act on your emotion. Because in order to size up, and this is from my, like what I've been noticing from my experience, you have to size down. You have to get that consistent 1 to 2 months, you know, even 6 weeks, whatever. You have to be consistent for that time. And then, you know, you look back at your P&L and you're saying, okay, what am I doing right now? I size down so there's less emotion. I'm consistently profitable now on the smaller size. Okay, so I know that I'm gaining control of my emotion, I'm gaining control of my mental, and it's also allowing me to execute on the setups that, you know, I should be executing on. So now that I'm, you know, gaining that confidence, let me take it from 50 shares to 75 shares. Then you do the 75 shares for, you know, another month. You look back at your progress. Okay, my mental is there. I'm consistent still. Nothing is changing. I feel confident in these plays. I'm executing on the setups I need to execute on. Then you up it to 100, 105 shares. You know, just or like even Mikey gave a great example on his live stream last Sunday, I believe. He said, if you're used to taking 500 shares, take 1,000 shares, scalp that 500, ride that core, then scale off 250, and then have that, you know, last 150 shares. And like that's another way you can go. But if you're really hesitating, man, then that's just a sign. Like, size down. Like, don't focus on the money right now. You're not gonna make a lot of money with 50 shares unless you get a freaking crazy move, and even then, you know, you're not gonna make anything life changing. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't focus on the money. Focus on the execution. Focus on getting consistent. Focus on overcoming your mental. Because if you can conquer those three things, then the money's gonna come after that. Because with good execution, good mental, and confidence, if you're still not making money, then, you know, maybe this just isn't for you. Because if you conquer those three things and you still can't make money, then, you know, there's obviously different issues involved. And that's why I say just size down and try to tackle those three things, and then, you know, go from there, man.
No, that's a very. I mean, that's definitely what I'm gonna do. Because I mean, I've done it in the past. It just hasn't. I don't think it's been for long enough of a period. Because I did prove my consistency, and you know, wanted to start making money again, and then the same thing happens. And you know, it's crazy. Like I was saying before, just all these hours of screen time, man. I think psychologically, I'm like it's gotten to me where I'm so cautious and fearful on trades that are, you know, the right trade, that are exactly where I should be taking an entry. That's where the most fear comes in. But I don't hesitate in, say, a position, you know, where I shouldn't be even looking. I won't bat an eye to take an entry. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's such a twisted, demented thing that is just happened to me. But
So
you know,
maybe you're mentally exhausted. Maybe you
I do. That's definitely part of it. Yes.
maybe you need to take like, and don't take this as like a in a wrong way or anything, but
Oh
like
yeah,
you maybe you need to take a day or two off. Maybe you need to extend your weekend into Monday and Tuesday. Maybe you need to take that step back to come back refreshed and like because if you're letting your like this is the easiest sign to know if like you're mentally exhausted. If you're letting your previous trade influence your next trade and then your next trade and your next trade and so on, then maybe it's a good idea to take a step back, understand that like don't do anything market related. Don't study, don't look at a chart, sure, whatever, go look at a chart, but like don't make a trade and just relax. Like go do something you enjoy, get some you time, whatever that is. You want to get a manicure, pedicure, whatever. You want to get a massage, but like go enjoy yourself and then come back after the 2 days after your mental is relaxed and you feel calmer and then get back into market because a lot of times you can take a beating after beating after beating and then you see that great setup after great setup and it causes you like those beatings cause you from executing on the great ones. Like this right here is a perfect setup, man. Like risk is clear, risk off 780 area.
and it's just textbook. I mean, it's
Exactly.
such a like obvious
Volume is
like I was
descending,
saying.
buyer
Like what
step in and
fire
like
into like
you don't want a full port, but sure, like on a
right.
setup like this, when it's so clean and it's so low risk, like risk is defined, the setup is there, the volume is
I have so much
descending.
conviction too. It's
Exactly,
just
like if you
why
have that,
and
if you have that conviction, like sure, this is a setup you could size into for the main three reasons. Risk is clear, setup is clear, and the VPA is like telling you a perfect story. Like sure, size into it. If it doesn't work out, you take a paper cut. But if it did work out and like it did, like this would have been a monstrous gain.
I have been focusing a lot more on taking breaks. I'm only at the screen for about 2 hour periods at a time, like But I appreciate you saying that, and it's definitely something that I need to consider.
Definitely,
I
man.
mean,
But even for me with the screen time, I've noticed excuse me, I was taking a sip of water. Even with me in the screen time, I've noticed myself lately this week from seeing all these failed plays. I noticed I'll come in from 8 a.m. or whatever. I'll trade till about lunchtime. Lunchtime, I'll leave my desk completely, and I'll come back at like 1:30, 2 p.m. Sometimes even 3 p.m. And I'll look for that last trade or that last two trades. But that's been something that I've been doing, and I've been noticing it's been making me more efficient. Because we sit at these screens like all day long, and you're staring at charts all day long. Your mind kind of it's hard to stay focused after so many hours looking at chart after chart, price action after price action. So it's always good to step away, get a breath of fresh air, grab a bite to eat, go hang out with your dogs or whatever you do, and then come back with that fresh mind, and you like I've noticed for me at least it's making me more efficient. So I plan on continuing to do that.
yeah.
But man, this setup is so clean, and like I hope you're seeing this, and I hope you're like knocking on your head like come on man, you gotta execute.
Dude, I am. I mean, the thing is, it's just crazy though because on Thursday, I guess, with G Sun, man, I saw the setup.
I remember that
The
one.
previous, it was that I think it's that Chinese education ticker, possibly, but
Yeah.
without hesitation. And I saw the setup, didn't even think twice. Put my order in, had zero fear because a past run up, and it turned out to be a very. I mean, it was the best trade that I'd made. I mean, execution wise, it was good. Could have been better, but I was starting to, I thought that it was going to continue running for the rest of the day after a sell off. So I kept, just 15 shares, but
Yeah.
um, I did, it's just crazy how at some points, man, I'm the trader, the best trader that I am.
Yeah. And it can
But
happen, but like I remember when you caught this setup, we came on live, and I was so happy because like I remember you told me you made like 500 $600 on this setup, and like
yeah,
I wasn't really happy that you made the money. I was more happy that you finally seen the setup and you finally built the courage to press on the buy button, and that's
and I
honestly what
had
made
no,
me happy.
and I had no second thought at
Yeah.
could not believe that I got filled at 33
Yeah.
because I don't even think the spread came below like 33 and a quarter. It just was, it was insane to me how I got filled, but zero hesitation.
Yeah, like besides the
Just
money,
calm and cool.
you seen your edge, you defined your risk, you executed, and it worked out. And hey, if it didn't work out, it's still a setup that you should take, because I remember that one day we said, some days you'll see a flag, it'll fail, and then the next day you'll see a flag, it'll put in a leg like this. And that's like all about what Mikey says. You have your edge, your edge works. Some days, no trading strategy has 100% win rate. If you have 100% win rate, then like that's it's fake.
Yeah,
There's no way. Yeah.
yeah.
But like, I'm proud of you, the way you executed on this, man. You seen your edge, and you just nailed it, and it worked out, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for saying. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And like, even on other names like Saber, 5-minute flag, or I'm sorry, this is a 2-minute. Let me go back to the 3-minute. We have the flag set up here. Execute. It works out. We have another little flag. Execute. It works out. And then there's gonna be names where the flag doesn't work out, but it's the name of the game. It happens. I want you to, like, honestly, like, this is, I think of you guys all as my friends. We're on this every day. We're always chatting and whatnot. So, like, I really want you, man. I really want you to try sizing down. Like, whatever you're used to taking, cut that in half and just see if you're more efficient. See if you're able to become like a little more consistent. See if you're able to gain a little more confidence. And if it is, then it'll basically narrow the issue down. Like, sure, you can make the money. You know that now. And now you know that, okay, hey, it's mental. I got to get my mental right. And so that's what sizing down will help. And I really want you to try that, and I really want to hear back from you to see how that works out.
Yeah, that's my goal for this week too. And
Yeah.
I might not even trade on Monday too.
Yeah, whatever you feel, man. But like, mental breaks, they're always needed.
For sure.
Usually on like for me, like just to drop a little more of what I do, on Mondays and Wednesdays, I trade from 8 to 11. I go to the gym, and then I come back home at about 2:30, 3 p.m., and then I get back on the market. That's like routine for me. Other days, I'll go to the gym at night, but that's just something like
8 to 11, and then you come back around 1, you said?
around, for me, 3 p.m. So yeah, for you it'd be around 1.
Yeah.
And like, the reason I do that is, I find myself to be more efficient. Because, like I said, you're sitting at charts all day. It's hard to stay focused. You lose your focus. You can't stay concentrated. And taking that, mental break throughout the week, and, really all you need is 2 solid plays, 2, 3 solid setups. And, you get a little green on the day, and, you can go about your day and just try to repeat that the next day. Whereas if you stay at your computer, there's a higher probability that you're going to overtrade and, give back majority of the money that you made. And that's one of the main reasons I step away. Like, I'm my best from 8 to 11, and then there's all this chop. And then I notice I'm my best, near the power hour, 2, 3 p.m. area. So that's why I do what I do. And, like, I'm telling you guys this because maybe you guys can take something from it and, implement it into your own routines.
Definitely. Because, I mean, I ended up not, from that morning, not taking advantage of those 2 trades. And, just the rest of the day, just, I took that loss on AIMD is what I took that loss on. And, just, you're making all valid points, very valid points, and stuff that I'm definitely going to work on.
Yeah, even on AIMD, like, there was a clear wedge. You can't be afraid to get a good, average in the wedge. Like, I had a shitty average, and so I averaged down. But like, it's just like, point here is it's a setup I'll take any day. If there's a wedge, I'm gonna get into that wedge, and I'm gonna look for the breakout to the bullish side. But if we break out to the bearish side, I'm gonna trust my ability to manage my risk properly. Can't be afraid, man.
Yeah, shit, man.
I know we got three other people in here. You guys, feel free to talk. If you guys have any plays you guys want to go over or just
Yeah,
anything in
definitely.
general. Don't think this is just for me and Hume. It's for everyone.
I know, I'm hogging it.
They'll probably type a message in chat, and of course, guys, you guys are welcome, man. Always welcome. But like, yeah, you guys are feel free to talk. We're all friends here. We're all doing this for the same reason. At the end of the day, we're trying to gain freedom and get rich while doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those were my trades. Like, if you guys really don't have anything else you guys want to go over, I mean, we can cut it short. I know it's Saturday. You guys probably want to watch college football or whatever you want to do. But
Nobody has any questions or anything?
I guess not. I guess Hume, if you have no other questions, I guess we'll just call it here, man. Quick recap.
Sounds good. Much appreciation.
Of course, man. Of course. Like I said, this is always something I'm gonna do on my own, and having an audience and other people to do it with makes it so much better. So I appreciate you guys for taking some time out and joining and hanging out with me.
Yeah, man, you got a ton of knowledge, and I really appreciate it. So
Thanks,
I'll
man.
talk to you soon.
Yeah. Also, my DMs are always open, man. If you ever have a question, like, don't hesitate, man. I have Discord on my phone. I have Discord on my computer, my laptop. So like, there's a very high probability I'll get back to you within a few minutes. So never hesitate, man. I'm always here.
Nice. Awesome.
Alrighty,
All right,
guys.
guys. Well, have a good weekend.
Take care. Brush your hair.